So there's a massive difference that I see amongst people that say that they want to try something and people that actually commit to it. For me, when someone says, I'm going to try my best, I actually think they give themselves an out very early, because if they don't achieve something, they can just say, you know what, I tried my best. Whereas if you commit to something and actually say, I'm just going to do this thing, regardless of what you come up against, you're committed. So it doesn't matter if the conditions change or things aren't perfect or something stands in your way. You're committed to the end goal and the vision and the mission. So you will continuously commit yourself to doing it, even if your base doesn't always look the same. That's why I wanted to sit down and have this conversation with another Mark. Welcome, Mr. Mark Racing.
Thank you, mate. That's it. Thank you, mate.
And the reason why I'm saying this is because probably out of the majority of clients that I've worked with, I mean, over my entire career, coaching clients, more Gen Pop, and also coaches, there's always a distinctive difference in the people that say, I want to do it and I'm going to do this thing, versus people who say, I'm going to try to do this thing. And in your situation, especially from what I've seen firsthand, is you've just committed fully to the process since coming on board and working with Built for Coaches. So I wanted to sit down and have a conversation as to like what you've achieved, obviously, since joining, why you joined, all of that sort of stuff. But most importantly as well, maybe just dig into that mentality a little bit more, because I think people who are watching this will love to know what they should do to achieve similar success. Mm-hmm. Because I think even the success you've achieved so far, huge milestones, it's only going to continue to grow from here because you won't let it not grow and progress.
Can't let it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of mindset that I want to get into.
Won't stop, mate.
Yeah, mate, love that. And me and Mark do have a little bit of history, right? And we will probably, no doubt, get into that. But first, I want to ask Mark, even just to like introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What kind of business do you run? And then we can kind of go into the nitty-gritty stuff around what you've achieved since we've started working together.
Yeah, so my name's Mark Rayside. I'm a personal trainer, online coach. I currently work out of New Age Fitness in Hamilton, which is Mark's old hunting grounds.
My previous roots.
Exactly. So at the moment, I currently live in Hamilton. I'm originally from Blantyre, grew up in Blantyre, moved literally one town over to get away from the Blantyre ones and do all the Hamilton ones. And in terms of the business, transform people's lives, mate.
Yeah.
Like take people from rock bottom and take them through my 4-stage coaching process.
Love it.
Where they reach the final boss of themselves.
I love that. Another cool thing about Mark is he actually trains my father-in-law.
True, very true. Big Tony. Aye.
Yeah.
Still with me, mate. Still with me after all this time. He's loving it.
To be fair, my father-in-law is like a well-versed triathlete, I would say. He's always been into like running, cycling, all of that sort of stuff. But he obviously had a really bad bike accident and then realised they had to build strength because he's in his, 60s now. So I referred him to Mark, and the fact that he's still with you now, and that's maybe coming up for a year?
So just shy of a year,
Just shy of a year is absolutely class. And again, testament to Mark's coaching and how he works with people to get them the results they want to get them. So we are going to start before our coaching relationship together. I mean, we can't start before our initial relationship because then we're going way back. We'll probably get into that, right? But I would love to know, how were you feeling about like your career and your business before actually kind of reaching out and working with us about for coaches? Because you're obviously still in your infancy, really, based upon having achieved what you have achieved, which has been phenomenal, because I hadn't even achieved results like this in my infancy and the amount of time like you've been in the industry. So I would love to know what you were feeling before you joined that made you ultimately commit to working with us.
Lost is probably the word I would use in one word if I had to describe everything. I was absolutely lost, because you know yourself, when you become a personal trainer, the one thing they don't teach you is how to actually run a business. And familiarity is probably the other word I would use. So you and I come from similar places. Yeah. We speak the same language.
Similar backgrounds.
Similar backgrounds. Same sort of humour as well. Yeah. Both love the fucking rock.
That's so true. So true. Mark just needs to get a baldy and start looking a bit more like him though.
So how I was feeling in my business was, looking at Built for
Coaches. We just on that, we have changed our name like 3 times.
I had to double check that. I'm going, say that right, Built for Coaches, right, okay. So within Built for Coaches, right, see the fundamentals in the philosophy that you teach?
Yeah.
I already was doing that within my business. Yeah. I just didn't know how to put it under a microscope and really hone in on those skills.
Yeah.
That was ultimately what saw the initial success. But when I say lost, that success reached a peak because I was intuitively doing it.
Yeah.
I never had any direction. And this is where obviously you come in.
Yeah. Well, I find that really interesting though, right? Because there will be some people that have achieved some level of success and then hit that point where they kind of feel like they plateau, let's say, and they don't know how to then continue to grow from there, that will just not do a fucking thing about it. What made you do something about it?
I think just that whole philosophy of not being afraid to ask questions and being the stupidest guy in the room.
Yeah.
Like asking the stupid questions, not being afraid to ask them, and just being like, looking at the blueprint of success. And I always look at things through a logical lens, right? So the logical lens for me personally, when I look at you, right, is you built a business from the ground up multiple times over, right? Trained out of the same gym, transitioned to online, and there was a period obviously where I lost sort of contact with yourself and wasn't really sure what you were up to. But then when you circle back and I get into the fitness industry and I see where you're at there, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's on a different level. Like, what did this guy do to go from where he was to here? What have I missed out? What's the missing piece of the puzzle that I'm not seeing here?
Yeah.
And that was what led, curiosity is what led me to come into your world.
Yeah, mate, that's actually, thank you for the kind words, by the way. But that's actually, it's so funny because we are probably more similar than we actually think that we are. Because see, for me, I've always looked at people and thought to myself, if they can do it, I can do it. So what am I missing that they have that's allowing them to achieve those results? And how can I ultimately then invest in the same places, go to the same things, be around the same people to learn this stuff to then achieve the result?
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people will look at, even people like yourself, because we do come from a small town, and people will look at us and be like, there'll be a few kind of mindsets. There will be mindsets around like embarrassing, fucking stupid cunt, posting content, building a business, cringe, all of that sort of stuff. But there will also be other people that are somewhat inspired from the local area that would love to do something like you have and achieve what you have in such a short time frame, but are quite apprehensive about doing what you've had to do to get there, which I find very, very interesting. And then there will be the people like you and I that are logical about it and say, well, this is the path that they've taken. I need to find a similar path to take. So for you, why do you feel as though you are the type of person that thinks logically in that way? Because obviously coming from the background that we have and kind of working together way before obviously being in this industry together and working together in this setting, just for a bit of insight, me and Mark worked together in First Direct 13 years ago.
Oh, to name drop them?
Yeah, it should be. First Direct 13 years ago. I was 19. You would have been 22?
22, 23, yeah.
Yeah. So we worked together in that setting very, very long time ago. And obviously at that point as well, we were both like going out at the weekend, taking drugs, like it was all partying. It was more like seeking validation from the people around us rather than kind of like following the path we probably wanted to follow at the time. So what do you think at this point in time has kind of changed your mentality from being that type of person who kind of like maybe followed the crowd to now being someone who thinks more logically about the path that they need to take to achieve the goals that they want?
I think just in the jobs that I did in my 20s. So obviously we started in First Direct, which is customer service. And one positive thing I will say about that is you'll probably get some flashbacks when I say this, pioneering amazing customer service.
Yeah.
That is ingrained in my brain, right? Totally brainwashed me, right? But that was this customer service side that I went through. So even when I was in that job, I always strived to treat the customer, put the customer at the forefront of the journey and make sure that no matter what, their experience with me was amazing. And, you know, the reputation that you upheld for that bank was always top of the list to preserve when you're dealing with any sort of difficult situations or customers that may, you know, have an issue. So having that level of commitment to customer service set me up for the customer service side of things in personal training. But then what a lot of people don't know about me is I get made redundant from...
Oh, did you? I never even knew
First
that.
Direct, yep. So what actually happened was I made a side swap to a back office department because I was just sick of sales. I was just sick of it, right? And because it wasn't a sales department, they, within about 6 months, whoever the managing director was at the time basically made the decision to pull the plug and said, right, everybody in this department, you either go back to call centre or you get a new job and take a redundancy payment.
Oh, wow.
So oddly enough, I was just applying for anything and everything. And one of the jobs, well, the job I moved into was working for, let me see if I can get this right, the MHTS. So it was Mental Health Tribunal Service for Scottish Government.
Wow.
and I transitioned into there as a caseworker. So that allowed me to sort of see the mental health side of things. You see where I'm sort of pulling in Jen into this, where I'm seeing the brain work here.
And psychology and
psychology
stuff,
side of coaching, So I got into a lot of that. I actually really enjoyed that job because a lot of insights you see behind the scenes within like hospitals, NHS and all this, and dealing with doctors and lawyers and how all this is handled. And I always had an interest in how people's minds worked.
Yeah.
And in the background of all this, my sort of story is obviously losing weight, going through the 10-week John Cena body change.
Yeah.
Terrible fucking diet. But fucking terrible diet, but it fucking worked.
Yeah.
Because I do remember bumping into you in Bar Strada one time.
Would have been.
And you were like, mate, look at this weight you've lost, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So that spurred me on. Because I remember that interaction even to this day, and I was like, oh shit, Mark even like, recognised.
I remember that.
Aye. So that was going on in the background. And it eventually reached a point where I was enjoying the gym that much. I was very, very stubborn because I didn't understand what I was missing, what I couldn't get from a YouTube video that the likes of like your clients, Ross's clients, everyone else, they were all getting. I'm going, what's the secret sauce here I'm missing? There's got to be something. Very, very stubborn about it. It took me till I was 30. That's how fucking stubborn I am. Till I was fucking 30 to go, no, do you know what? I need to ask.
Yeah.
And it was ultimately Ross's wife that ended up asking for help.
Yeah, Nikki, because that was the first person that took you through the first photo shoot, wasn't it?
So I worked with her for almost just shy of 2 years.
Yeah.
And she did a 12-week cut with me, then a bulk, and then a photo shoot prep.
Nice, love that,
Yeah.
love that. And then since then, you've then done just one more photo shoot?
One photo shoot with Ross as well. Ross and I have been working together for about 2 years, but if we're going back to the sort of logical lens, I think it was my background, first of all, in sales, then seeing how the brain worked in the mental health tribunal, which ultimately interested me in coaching. Because then when I started working with Nikki, I started to see the behind the curtain of what's really involved.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, right, this is what it's actually like. I kind of like this. This is kind of something I want to do as a job.
Yeah. Mate, that's really interesting because me and Jen actually talk about this all the time, that we say that when we say best coaches, right, like we don't just look at best coaches from an objective sense of getting client results, having good retention. We think coaches are very like three-dimensional types of people. Like they're not narrow-visioned. They're not the type of people who are just like, you need to work harder if you want this result. You don't care enough if you don't work hard enough to achieve this result. You're not disciplined enough, or like you're too lazy. Like that's the kind of one-dimensional coaches, whereas the three-dimensional coaches have a more kind of like nuanced approach to how they explore through curiosity what their clients' challenges are to actually help support them overcome it to change. We see a kind of distinctive difference with probably coaching maturity and people who have had a career of some sort before coaching or have played in a high level of sport previously, and that's been their gateway into coaching. Whereas a lot of people do get into, obviously, personal training, online coaching through insecurity, and then they think that they should help their clients apply their philosophy to how they want to live their life and achieve the result instead of actually figuring out what's best for the client. So it's actually very interesting that, yes, it may be through your lens looks stubborn that it took you that long to actually get to that point.
10 years.
But equally, I think you need that time to learn the other skills that you were developing in the other areas, because that's no doubt what's fast-tracked your results so much so in such a short period of time, now actually doing coaching. So if we now kind of go on to like the stats before you started working with us, so you've been in the industry now, 2 years and 4 months, 5 months?
About 2 years, 5 months.
Yeah, roughly around. Look at that. Good memory, mate.
Good memory.
I'm good with the dates and that. So we've been in the industry coming up for like 2.5 years. So before we started working together, talk me through kind of stats. So like how many clients were you working with? What was your revenue on a monthly basis? Lead gen and even content. Like how easy did you think it was to like get new clients? How often were you getting inquiries for new clients? Talk me through that sort of stuff.
So that was the arrogant process of having to, I'd probably take a step back from that. See before I actually jumped into coaching, I, again, through a logical lens, I wanted to see, right, what am I actually getting myself into here? So I actually started working in New Age as a fitness instructor in November 22.
Yeah, that's right.
And I didn't actually start coaching until April 23. April 23? No. What year, Ben? Is it 26?
24.
Aye, 24.
24.
So it was like a full year where that was it, because first of all, I wanted to kind of like go through my paces with Nikki and see what I could achieve myself. I do a photo shoot, do something fitness related before I even delved into that to see what I was capable of.
Proof before profit, mate.
100%.
Yeah.
But the other side of things was I also wanted to look at what other personal trainers were doing round about me. And again, no one told me to do that. That was just intuitive.
We've had this conversation. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
It was just to see, right, what's one person doing that looks successful? What's another person doing that's just not working at all? And sort of almost keeping mental notes of this, of what to do and what not to do. And again, you know, looking at other successful coaches such as Ross, you know, hearing tidbits of advice from them and like yourself, and just kind of like applying it myself to try and find my own way. So what was the question again? My memory's shit. So like it's not my diary.
No, stats before. So like you said, obviously it was like the arrogant process, but like it sounds. I'll come on to my question again, but it sounds as though what you've done is you've been like, right, I need to become someone that other people see as investable before actually going and start asking them to invest in me.
100%.
You know, like through doing a transformation, walking the walk, talking the talk, but equally already having like a set standard for how you're going to coach people based upon what you see as kind of right and wrong, if you want to say. Because like I know people don't like to work in absolutes and say right or wrong, but like if you're working with a client in the gym floor, you shouldn't be fucking standing watching the TV. Like that's a bang out wrong, you know. So my question basically was, what were like your stats before? So how much revenue were you taking home kind of like every month? Like how often were you getting leads through? How confident were you with content? And even like average retention, if you want to look at that as well.
I would say, on average, I had a pretty good stride within my first like 3-4 months.
Yeah.
But there was a really, really hard graft in that. Like I was grafting, mate.
Yeah.
Like I was sending emails to every member.
Yeah.
You know, there was people that had signed up for like a day pass and all that, and I was emailing them, being like, you know, people don't actually believe me when I say that I was sending out roughly about 1,500 to 2,000 emails a month.
Yeah.
Right, just every day
wild.
on it, mate. Just trying to get. Now with doing that, I managed to. I believe I think it was about 12 clients, 12 to 15. I think I managed to hit there. So revenue averaging, looking back initially, kind of spiked very quickly to between 1,800 to 2,000.
Yeah.
But I was also working part-time as well. Yeah. So that was taking up some of my time.
I remember that, actually. I remember when you were still working part-time as well.
That's
Jesus.
So I remember even doing a shift in... Well, I used to work in the bins, by the way.
Yeah.
Not even ashamed to say it anymore. Do you know what I mean? It was... absolutely nothing wrong with working in the bins, by the way.
Yeah.
Great set of people down there.
Yeah.
But I just aspired for more, and that's ultimately what it came to. Yeah. And that was taking up too much of my time in the week. So I managed to essentially fill my half-week diary with people around, I think it was between 12 and 15. And I thought, right, if I can claw back more time here by, you know, giving up this part-time job, then I can hopefully try and double that.
Yeah. And
then continue on from there, continue the momentum that I'd built. Lead gen, non-existent. Absolutely nothing, mate. I was getting... someone might walk through the gym, like the look of me, and maybe inquire once every 3 months, if you're lucky. It was mostly me approaching people, and whether that's via email on the gym floor, or I still work shifts in the gym as well. It's talking to people who are signing up, or just coming through the door, just, you know, talking to them about their training, things like that. And content... Oh, content, like, I still have a love-hate relationship with content. I still have
so it's all right. It's all right.
So I generally initially thought it would be easy because it's like, just, you know, post a couple of my transformation photos and then that's it. I've got, you know, great shape in it. People are going to be lining up at the door.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Does not work like that.
Is that what you meant by arrogant process at the beginning?
Unless you are, like, of the 1% physique,
so
no one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you get compliments all day going, oh, you look good, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, right, okay, but it's no paying the bills here.
Yeah.
Right? I can look good all day. That's not paying
legs don't pay the bills, motherfucker.
No, exactly, right. So that was a wake-up call, and I'm thinking to myself, right, I need to do something about my content. But again, totally lost, had no idea. Was just kind of spitballing, throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something stuck.
Yeah.
I even hired a guy. His editing skills were very good, like a videographer to edit. And it was all my ideas, but again, I had no plan in place.
Yeah.
Again, I was just kind of winging it. And I was just saying, right, I've kind of got this idea in my head, like I'll just do this and hopefully it works. And sometimes it did, a lot of time it didn't.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of effort for minimal return, mate.
Yeah, but listen, I think in the early stages, like, you need to do that, because I talk a lot about getting my first paying client, because Exercise for Less, they used to sell welcome packs, like, as part of the membership when people came on board, and it was like 20 quid for a welcome pack. It was like a water bottle, a t-shirt, and 2 personal training sessions, and I would email everyone, getting them booked in with me, and I done something like 150 free PT sessions over like a 7-week period, while also working my shifts in the gym, taking inductions outside of it and all that sort of stuff, until someone after like almost 8 weeks, it was like 7.5 weeks in, basically said to me like, oh yeah, I'd love to continue.
8 weeks to get your first client?
Aye, mate. Aye.
Crazy, man.
New gym though, and there was 20 other PTs in there. There were PTs coming from the Pure Gym Bath Street branch. Some of them were like Miami Pros. Some of them were like, it was like UK BFF shows that they'd won. They weren't like IEFBB pros, but they'd won like big UK BFF shows. They already had a client base that they were bringing with them. They looked busier instantly because they had their own paying clients. So I was just like, fucking hell, I need to do the work here. So I was 150 free sessions with people at the end of both sessions saying, I can't really afford a PT right now. Nah, not for the time being. If I need you, I'll reach out. Oh, you know what? Like, I think I'm good to do it alone now. All of that sort of stuff. And I remember I just never stopped. And then this girl was like, yeah, I'd love to continue. Can you train me 3 times a week? And I was like, what? I was like, what?
Excuse me?
Aye, but I also had the background of coming from like doing a paper round as a kid. So I was used to people shutting their doors on me in the rain when I was asking to deliver their papers and all that sort of stuff. And I also remembered that it took me a long time to like build that, like chatting doors, people saying no, people completely ignored me as if I wasn't at the front door and I could see through their living room window and they were just watching the TV. And I would be like chatting, like, I can see you.
Nobody's coming.
And they wouldn't come. But then see, after like a year or so, after they seen me being so consistent, building up that roster, the people who were ignoring me in their fucking front room would then approach me and be like, oh, I see you around here all the time. Can you deliver my papers? And obviously in my head, I'm thinking, you motherfucker, like you completely ignored me. But also, there's something you said there around, obviously, like you thinking your physique would just like attract people to you. There's an aspect there of like no one really will give you the time of day until you prove yourself.
Oh, 100%.
Really?
Yeah.
And I think people can be quite resentful towards that. But why should they give you a pass? You know, like, don't get me wrong. I think some people have probably been given a pass in life when it mattered and that sent them on to do great things. I think sometimes it's important to be kind to people, give them a break and like do what you can to help them in places. But it only works for a certain type of person that's really grateful for it, and not people that deserve it or think that they deserve it or are entitled to it, is what I kind of mean.
When I look back on my early success, right, I think what kind of ultimately went in my favour was my age.
Yeah.
Because I really didn't start until I was 32, so I've got a bit of life experience behind me.
Yeah.
And that fundamentally enabled me to connect with a lot of different people from all walks of life, whether that's, you know, they were, you know, just a 22-year-old who's just, you know, fresh out of high school and, you know, just starting their first job kind of thing, don't really get a clue and, you know, just want to lift some weights and lift heavy shit. Or it's like, you know, a middle-aged family man who's, you know, divorced 3 times but he still got like 4 kids. Do you know what I mean? And then like the older generation as well. I was always taught to, you know, be respectful of your elders and all that, and totally like you can learn from anybody. Yeah. So that definitely went in my favour. But I think like you said something there as well about the physique side of things. I think that is kind of lost in the kind of generation coming up just now, because there's a lot of they get brought up with a lot of Instagram and a lot of social media, and there's this sort of portrayal of. And I remember when I was 19, I thought this way as well. I don't know if you did, where you think, how are these adults not just smashing life? Because I'm just going to go X, Y, Z and do X, Y, Z, bro, and then I'll just be successful.
Mate, so true. So true.
But life has got a really powerful way of humbling you and slapping you when you think you're at your peak and being like, no, this is how it's going to go. Yeah. So I think I see a lot of people coming into the fitness industry that are around that age, and I think to myself, you're going to need to eat some humble pie at some point here.
Aye, you're going to need to have some balls. Yeah. And I do think Instagram, I think a lot of people are like over-consumed now by Instagram, and like that you should be successful within a matter of fucking minutes coming into a new role. When realistically, the average person isn't a millionaire until they're like 38. Like I was looking, like obviously living over in Dubai, I was looking at like the average age of people that buy homes in Dubai, 38-year-old. And I'm sitting at 32 going like, I want to buy somewhere soon, but also like the down payment over there is ridiculous because the house prices are so high. And I'm sitting going, I've been in business for like 13 years, I should be able to afford this. But you're talking like, see a £1 million house you would get here, it's a 3-bed villa in Dubai. You know, like my apartment alone that I'm renting at the moment is worth like 600 grand. But you need to put down 24%, and then there's land department fees that are another like 16%. You'd essentially have to front like 40% of the value of the property. So there's times where I look back thinking like I'm in the position that I've always wanted to be in now and have been through multiple kind of milestones in my career. but I would never have been able to like withstand the shit that pushed me backwards that then I had to like regain and climb upon to get back to where I wanted to be if I just didn't have like balls and an understanding of the reality of the process. And I think that was both upbringing and also not having access to social media and thinking that everyone was a fucking millionaire.
Yep.
And like everyone was shredded and everyone was living this lavish life. Because I said a couple of weeks ago, I think on an Instagram reel, that like if you walk down Buchanan Street in Glasgow, you've never seen a supermodel in your life, right? Ever. But you go on Instagram now, and what is it? Just every second video picture, girls with massive glutes, huge fucking tits, if you want to put it that way.
Mate, yeah.
You know, like
it's in your face constantly.
It's like, aye, exactly. But even guys, shredded, like
massive.
Aye, it's like symmetrical as well, good looking.
Listen, saying their prayers, eating their vitamins, mate.
Mate, I know, but it's like so that the overconsumption of that can like create a real false reality that either pushes you and inspires you to want to do more, or cripples you because you think that it should be easier than it is. And it's definitely not easy. And you've obviously just proved it there by talking about what you had to do initially to even get that far. So talk me through kind of like stats now. So like if we fast forward now, you were working with like 12 to 15 clients at that point.
Yep.
How many clients are you working with now?
42 as of yesterday.
Oh, very nice. Did you ring that bell?
I did not.
We've got a wee sales process. They need to ring the bell every time they make a sale. It's a wee celebration. So 12 to 50, let's say 15 clients to 42, which is exceptional. One thing I never asked before was, what was your average retention rate before and what is it now?
Good question, mate. I would say, so this is the thing with my retention, so I never ever tracked it before working with you, right?
Normal,
right. So, but if I had to take a stab in the dark, I would say anywhere between 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
Like I still had a good retention rate, but I think that comes from what we spoke about earlier with my background and just always trying to be customer focused and making sure their journey is the best it can be at all times, and making sure that they see that I actually give a fuck and I care, and I'm not just here standing with a Starbucks coffee and looking at it going, oh, right, you're further up, I'll see you next week. Yeah. But no, honestly, it was probably about 6 to 8 months. So I definitely took my own horn about that. I definitely had that intuitive like retention rate. I just never tracked it before.
Yeah. And what is it now, roughly?
Roughly, I would say it's well over a year is the average retention. A lot of my clients have been with me for about a year and a half.
Amazing. Love that. Now let's talk content, because actually, like I've given you quite a lot of shout outs around your content because I genuinely think your content is brilliant.
Thank you, mate. I wish I thought that.
But mate, I don't think my content's any good either. So we're all just kind of faking it until we make it.
That's me, yeah.
And it's like I always say, like, see, when I show up to Tuesday calls, like we have a Q&A call on a Tuesday, and I'll always ask people like their energy ratings for the day, and I'll be like between 1 and 10, and I'm always like, you're not allowed to be under a 5. But I also always say, if you're not a 10, fuck it, just say you're a 10, because then you'll feel like a 10.
True.
So like I just tell myself, like I will get better consistently at content, but that content's brilliant, it's brilliant. And then if it's not brilliant and not giving me the results, I'm like, okay, it's not that great, so I'll go back to the drawing board.
But content's weird though, because like, you can put out a funny reel, right?
Yeah.
Everybody loves a funny reel because it's an instant dopamine hit. Even if you're having a shit day, you fire up Instagram, you see the funny reel and go, ah ha ha, like, right? So and putting that out there, you get that dopamine back. Yeah. But then when you put out something a little bit more
conversion focused,
a little bit more vulnerable, it's fuck all, and you're sitting there scratching your head going, "Have I said something wrong here?" Like,
I know it's just the way people consume information now. It's the way that people want to feel when they're on the app. Because they're going there for a reason. We go there for a reason.
Escape reality.
And that reason is ultimately then going to determine how much they want to engage in something specifically. But let's go back to the content piece anyway, because like you've genuinely made really good strides when it comes to content creation. How have you found lead generation as a result of improving your content that's helped you build from the 15 to like 42 clients?
Stressful.
To be fair, I'm glad you're honest, because I think marketing your business, most people don't realise that they're probably going to have to put like 8 hours aside a week to like understand and market their
I'm already
business.
thinking about August, never mind July.
I know, but
what are you thinking about it?
Good, because we've trained them to do that.
Oh mate, fucking honestly, I've got so much going on in my head. But I would say, like, in terms of the content, like the leads are coming through, but the thing is, and I know you'll not like this, even through TikTok. Like, I'm now just remembering someone messaged me on TikTok like 2 days ago. I responded. I'm not sure if they responded back to me. I better go and double check it. Yeah. It's just TikTok is like an absolute, it's a Wild West. And sometimes the pendulum can swing in your favour on TikTok. Yeah. Other times
people hate you.
Yeah, absolutely. I despise you, mate. Right? But in terms of like Instagram, Facebook, a lot more stable. Yeah. averaging probably about 2 to 3 inquiries a month at the moment. And as you always say...
And that's inbound as well.
That's inbound. That doesn't sound like a lot.
Yeah.
But when you look at the retention rate versus, if, say, you get 3 inquiries, even if you get 1 a month, that's 12 new clients in a year,
mate, so true. And it's like, the way I like to think of it is acquisition is the most expensive thing in your business by a country mile. If it's not money, it's time, it's effort, it's energy. One of the cheapest is retention. And the way that, like, people used to be quite confused when I said I would only really take on like 4 to 5 new clients a month back in the day. And they'd be like, well, how did you grow to where you grew to? And I was like, because the retention was so good. That meant that I only had to bring on, in fact, I didn't even have to bring on 4 or 5 if I didn't want to. I could go a month without making any sales and I'd be fucking dandy. And that's what I always wanted from my business, because everyone is so focused on acquiring new clients because they feel unsafe half the time.
Yeah.
So they're basically like acquiring new clients because they are acting out of fear instead of acting out of like inspiration.
And that comes through in the content, 100%.
100%. It does.
I've actually had the past 2 months, I've not really been focused on sales.
Yeah.
And those have been my best months for inquiries.
Aye. Because it's just more laid back, creative, innit?
100%, yeah. And you're just like, right, I'm just going to say what's on my mind and how I feel. Maybe, give a little like background story, like I kind of done today, and people just inspired by it, or they gravitate towards you, like you always say.
Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely, mate. It's been an absolute game changer.
And also just on that point, is obviously referrals is quite a good thing for you as well. That's another really good lead generation tool. And I always think that that's one of the best ways to measure like the efficacy and the trust that people have in your brand and how good your service actually is. So obviously if you're getting like 3 inbounds a month, and remember, Mark's done this without like really doing any cold outbound. You know what I mean? He doesn't like it.
I fucking hate it.
And I always talk about, we talk about building a business without doing cold outreach, but we're not the cold outreach police. I actually do know some coaches that are like, I fucking love doing outreach. And I'm like, sound, continue to do it then if it's also bringing you clients. But if you're bringing like 2 to 3 inbounds a month, and also potentially even more when you're seeing that you're a bit more laid back with content as well, plus you mix that with referrals and the retention rate, like that's a healthy business. But like you're frequently talking about how you're getting referrals through current clients, their partners, their friends, and it's mainly just because, number one, your service is obviously really good, but it's standout in comparison to other PTs they've been with, like in the local area or previously. So tell us a wee bit more about how you feel having that kind of like safety and stability in your business, with referrals being quite a key acquisition process for you.
Fucking great.
Aye. Mate, so good though, isn't it?
No, it's honestly like, but I think that comes from a place of confidence. And the reason I say confidence is because I'm comfortable now after 2.5 years of who I am, what I provide for someone, and how I can help them. Now, if someone doesn't want to be helped, or they feel like they're not ready for that, that's fine. But as long as they have an understanding of what I provide and they see value in it, then, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, that is a testament to, what was it before? What was
Built to coach.
I built to coach.
Yeah.
That was a game changer for me, mate, because that was the thing that kind of solidified in my head who I was, what the fuck I'm showing up for, and who the fuck I'm helping, and how I can help them as well. But that 4-stage process that we ironed out at the end, I used that in my VSL, and that has been the game changer. Like any sort of inbound leads or anything, send that through. People are lapping it up because it's a total game changer. Even had someone recently, right? Funny story. She had some personal issues, so she had to stop coaching with me. She lasted 3 weeks, mate. And she was begging to come back, and I'm like, sound?
I actually remember you said this a couple of weeks ago to me. Yeah. But that just goes to show, I think sometimes people think like clients leaving their coaching business is a bad thing, but I think sometimes people need to alleviate the pressure to realise what they need and what's valuable to them, and then they'll naturally come back. But again, that just solidifies the quality of what you do and how much better you are in someone's life versus being out of their life as well.
But that also solidifies my confidence as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Means that they can see value in what I'm providing, even though I might be second guessing myself and inside quite a lot.
Yeah.
Another thing that I've noticed as well, there's quite a lot of gym goers, and not just in New Age, but just in general, who, maybe I've never tried personal training before, but they're starting to notice.
Yeah.
Now, you always talk about the sort of lag-on effect of business. I'm 2.5 years in, they've potentially been watching me for that length of time because they're regulars, but it's getting spread around the gym, that, Mark does this, Mark works with this person, Mark does that. And that's piquing interest because people want to actually want to know what the secret sauce is. Like, what is it that I do, and why are people so enthusiastic about working with me?
Yeah, and I love that conviction part of it as well, because I think a lot of coaches aren't in a place where they're filled with conviction selling their service because their service actually isn't as good as they want it to be. And obviously, you having done Built to Coach when you were only like 6 months into full-time working or something along those lines. And Built to Coach, just for reference, if anyone's new here, we had an education system initially. It was a 6-month course that focused on psychology, brain-based behaviour, neuroscience, like helping people build an actual coaching process that was rooted in coaching competencies through behaviour change to help a client achieve sustainable outcomes and results. And then we launched our business services, and then we merged them together to become Built for Coaches. That's why Mark at the start was like, what are you called again? Because it was Built to Coach, Built for Business. They were separate, and then we obviously combined them to make Built for Coaches. But I love that you've got that conviction, because I think that conviction is something that does sell. It is something that sells, and the fact that people are like walking around talking about the quality of your delivery and the standard of your coaching and the results that you're getting, you want that to happen. I remember after having done a Integra, all about biomechanics down in London, way back in 2018, 2019, something like that. I think I'd done it for like 18 months, most weekends over the course of that time period. And I'd be back in the gym, like applying the stuff, and I would be in different positions, obviously, like looking at clients' movements, analysing movements, understanding like what was comfortable, uncomfortable, the pain they were experiencing, where they were experiencing it, all of that sort of different stuff. People used to just come up to me in the gym and be like, I'm with this PT, but I'm watching how you're working with your clients and I'm seeing what you're doing, and it's completely different to what I'm getting. Like, what's your kind of like deal? What's your package? What's your offer? Like, tell me like how much it is to work with you. And obviously, it would always be more expensive. And then they would be like, yeah, sound, because they've seen it firsthand in action. And I think that's something that you need to have as a coach, even online. You need to have that eye for coaching from being on the gym floor to be able to build systems to replicate that online. So the fact that, mate, you went from 15 to 42 clients is insane, and you're only 2.5 years into your coaching. Like, that is ridiculous.
What was the words you used at the end of Built to Coach? You and Jen both used it to describe me. It was unrelenting pursuit of something.
Unrelenting pursuit of, I don't think it was greatness, if I remember right. Jesus,
perfection, maybe.
Maybe it was. We've marked a lot of things.
Aye. Oh, right.
We've marked a lot of things.
I get it.
But that would summarise you very well.
100%. That sticks in my head as well, even though I can't remember it. But but that just that unrelenting pursuit of whatever it was. I'm like, right. Aye, that is me.
No, genuinely is, because one thing that Mark's told me from the very beginning was he wanted to achieve in 5 years what many people struggle to do in 10. And I think, trying to quantify that, right, I don't think a lot of people have like an understanding, like a realistic understanding of how much that takes, but also how good an outcome that actually is. So like, see if I'm talking to coaches, right, and they are saying, right, I get 5 leads a month. I want 20 leads a month. I'm like, that's 4 times what you're currently getting. And then they get it and they go, I don't think that's good enough. And I'm like, it's 4 times what you were on, right? 4 times. If someone makes an investment, right? I've heard people say they've made an investment of, say, like 10 grand into a mentor over a year, and they made an additional 80 grand. I'm like, that is an 8-time return. I'm like, that is excellent. Yep. But then again, it's like the comparison thing of like, oh no, it's not good enough. I want more. It should be better. I'm like, see if you grow 8 times in a year, ridiculous, right? See, even if you double the business in a year, ridiculous, which you've basically done, right? Plus some.
Still not enough.
But that's the relentless pursuit.
Yes,
the relentless pursuit, and I think
I'm learning to step back
and be grateful.
Yes,
be grateful for what you've done.
Be in the moment. Yeah.
But also know that if you can do this, you can continue to do more.
Oh, 100%. Sky's the limit, mate.
100%. So I think knowing that there's a realistic level of growth that you should be experiencing from things makes the journey something that you can be a bit more grateful for. Because even like me and Jen have set mad goals in the past, and it's been like doubling the business, and then I'm like, when you actually think about it, doubling the business is actually a really hard feat. Requires a lot of time, effort, energy, adaptability, like overcoming challenges that you hadn't actually like planned in to the goal that you were going to achieve, because it's like you set that goal based upon where you are right now and nothing else changing. Whereas anything can happen in business, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So you can have like a fucking anomaly of a churn month where you lose 10 clients and you're like, oh my God, I'm fucking 10 clients behind my goal now, which means I'm X amount of revenue behind my goal, which adds up over the course of the year if it's MRR to this. So fucking hell, I need to put in even more effort, you know?
That actually happened to me this year.
And did it, aye?
It did. So I ran my, excuse me, I ran my 8-week challenge in February.
Yep.
And so I got 5 sign-ups for that.
Yep.
Right. And out of the 5, only 1 stayed. However, she took a couple of months to like think about it and then come back, sort of thing. So I had 5 people like drop off straight away. And although I'd already received the money up front, seeing that drop on my coaching system was like, I've just lost 5 people here.
Yeah.
It was a shock to the system. And then round about the same time, the client I spoke about earlier, who had personal issues, that was a unexpected drop off as well.
Yeah.
And I think I also had someone else drop off. So I was like 7 people in unexpected. Well, I was kind of expecting out of the 5 people the thing, I was trying to retain 3 of them.
Yeah.
Because they were mostly involved in the process, but it just didn't happen at that time for me. And then obviously the 2 that weren't expected, totally out of the blue, dropped off. So I was seven clients down.
Yeah.
And I've always led with, see if you're chasing money,
Aye.
like
So true.
it's going to run away from you. Never chasing money. Just, show up for yourself, like you said, be who you are, show people what you do, and just focus on the people that are staying.
Yeah.
And, within like a month, I think it was a month and a half, it was only like maybe like 4 or 5 weeks or something. Like I'd got like 5 or 6 people back in.
Yeah.
And then that just continued on.
Yeah. And mate, you can only focus on your own behaviours. Like you can't control anyone else. All you can do is focus on your own inputs. And that's what I'll always come back to. So like if anything ever happens in business, I always just say to myself, the only way that this is going to be impactful is if I respond to this, or let's say, I like to say react to this the wrong way or respond to it the right way.
Yep.
And I think situations like that, I think you actually need to expose yourself to it to understand that it can happen. Like those 2 people leaving wouldn't have felt as significant if you hadn't had the people in the 8-week challenge.
Yep.
But also, like that was the first time you'd ran something like that. So
First time ever, mate, yeah.
it gives you grounds to be like, what do I need to improve next time with the upsell process and blah, blah, blah. Because I remember like the first time I ever ran a challenge, I think I kept like 2 people on out of 20. And then the last one that I ran, ended up keeping like 17 people on out of like 39, which was huge, like huge. But that was just because the system was refined over like a course of 3 years or something like that, and multiple times a year launching it, which meant that obviously the challenge itself brought income in, and then I was able to then upsell, do like a continuation offer, and then some of the lifetime value that added based upon retention as well was wild.
I think the biggest thing for me that added to me was just the trust it built.
Yeah.
Because some of those people that signed up, and it was like primarily online based, with like I occasionally see them in the gym if they were in the gym that I worked in. So 2 of them out of the 5 were actually in New Age, and I'd never actually spoken to them before. They just obviously seen it online and thought, let's give us a bash.
Yeah.
And the trust that I built off of that for them as well. Obviously, initially I didn't get anyone, but then a couple months later, one of them came back and is still with me to this day.
Yeah, amazing.
She's doing brilliant. She's just ran a marathon there, so she's on holiday. So when she's back, she's getting into the resistance training.
Love that.
But I just even that. So she's word of mouth. She's got a husband who's also interested now. Whoever else she talks to in the place, it's just again it spirals, mate.
Yep. 50 clients is the next goal. 50 clients is the next goal. So tell me how you're feeling about the business now.
Comfortable, but stressed.
Yeah.
Like I'm in a race constantly, and I have to keep my foot on the gas because other people are coming up fast behind me, and they ain't fucking catching me.
Yeah, mate. It's so that you're literally describing me. You're literally describing me. And I think sometimes it's the lifelong unanswered question, or whether or not that's the right thing to do or not. But I think
Ross talks about that though. That he always feels like he's like constantly like you need to be doing something.
I think your awareness levels and your thought processes towards things will always naturally change as you gain more information with the time that you're on this planet, and also the more kind of mature you get.
Yep.
Like I remember Jen was a workhorse before Rosa, still very committed, right? Still very committed. But obviously now she takes like a Friday off, and like cannot contact her on a Friday. Like I cannot get a hold of her from the end of a Thursday to a Monday, and it just goes to show that that's the boundary she's put in place, because that, even though the business is still important to her, that's an element of her life that is more important, that she needs to put time aside for, and I think we can never truly say this is what we're going to think or this is how we're going to be when we experience X. I think we need to wait till we experience it to then see what insights it gives us, you know?
Absolutely.
And like my thought processes towards things like over the years have drastically changed. And when you're getting to this point now where it's like you're stressed out, foot is on the gas, it's just a case of, right, how can things be made more efficient?
Yep.
Like, how can it be made more efficient to work in my favour rather than feeling like I still have to prove myself?
I think sometimes as well you can get ahead of yourself because you feel like I said, like you're in some type of race and people are kind of catching up with you.
Yeah.
But that's all up here.
Oh, it is?
It's because I noticed something, and I don't name any names, but there was, let's just say there was absolutely, what I've noticed frequently, absolutely no or lack of onboarding process.
Yeah.
And that's massive to me. And so that's something you always talk about as well. How good is your onboarding process?
Yeah.
I've refined my onboarding process to a fucking T where the expectations are set. People understand what is expected of them. And if they don't meet it, they understand what happens after that.
Yeah.
And to see people that you think are, you know, in the race chasing you, shall we say, not even have that, you're like, fucking hell, mate, like, you better get that sorted pronto.
Mate, so true. And I think you need, I think that's the competitive edge, right? I think competitiveness is so good in business because you do have competitors. Like, even though, like, I'm friends with some of my competitors, but at the end of the day, like, my business is always going to come before our friendship.
Yeah.
You know, because it's my business. And they would do the same, and I would not expect them to put me in front of their business if, like, anything ever came between us. You know what I mean?
True.
I still see them as competitors. I see them as colleagues. I see them as peers. But it's still a every man for themselves type of thing.
It's always been like that.
100%. And it always will be. And I think you need to have that competitive edge to think, what are my competitors doing while I'm resting? Or what are my competitors doing as I'm choosing to take time off that maybe I don't need to take off, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Or like downtime I'm telling myself I need, but could I push myself a bit harder? I think you need an aspect of that, but I think you also need to have structured downtime locked in consistently. You know, like
ultimately it comes down to what kind of business you want to run as well.
100%.
Because, you know, a wee guy at 20 years old might just want to absolutely race through like 60 hours in the gym and he's cool with that every single week.
Yeah.
He'll work on Friday, Saturday, Sunday till like 9 o'clock at night or whatever.
Yeah.
For me, that's not going to work. Like, I'm taking that Sunday off. I'm taking that Friday afternoon off. If you want to work with me on a Sunday, 150 quid an hour, mate. Do you know what I mean? No bother. But that's the boundary that I've got in place, and that's just the way I want to run my business moving forward. Because I'm a lazy bastard. But
you're definitely not lazy if you've grown that much. But like, I totally agree with you because I think, like, again, that this is like that change in perspective we were talking about though. Like, when you were in your early 20s, let's say, and you had this opportunity that you have now, you probably would have just been a fucking dog with two cocks. You genuinely would have been. You would have just, like, went hard at it. You would have been like, fuck relationships, fuck this, fuck that. But the older you get...
virgin.
Yeah, 40-year-old virgin Mark Racing. But you would essentially get to a point where you just realised that other things were more important in life.
Yes.
So, like, for me now, like, I do take weekends off unless I've got deadline projects that need to get done. Like, business will always come around in seasons. So if I need to work a weekend, I will work a weekend, but I won't work a weekend needlessly. And I'll never do it in the business. It will only ever be on the business. Like, those are the rules. Because my relationship with my wife is more important, and I want to be able to, like, actually say that since I've lived in Dubai, I've actually, like, went and seen the fucking place. Like, you know, like, these sorts of things. And I do now know that I'm getting older, right? I'm still energetic, still look after myself, but I'm not the same kind of animal I was at 21. At 21, you can sleep less, recover faster. You get more, like, peak fluidity from a psychological perspective. Like, you've got double the output at that age.
Mate, I've tried to keep up with you, mate. Yeah. You are like...
Well, you still got 3 years on me, mate.
500 mile an hour in the headband. I'm like...
Well, imagine me, 10 years ago, I was 200 mile an hour.
Dug with three cocks.
Dug with three cocks. But I think it does change. Your perspective changes as your circumstances change, your responsibilities change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't get me wrong, like, sometimes, mate, I sit thinking to myself, like, how can I get that guy back? I do think that to myself sometimes, like, how can I get that guy back? Like, I'm still so hungry to achieve things, but he was what felt hungrier. Or maybe it was just because he didn't have as many things to think about. He just had one thing, which was himself.
Yep.
I think when you bring other people into the equation, as you've got, obviously you've got a missus, you've got a house, new house on the way, obviously. Mark's been able to secure his dream home as a result of the growth of his business.
100%, mate.
You're a stepdad
Stepdad, yeah.
Aye. So like you have a lot of responsibilities, which means that you need to cater for those.
Yep.
So I think that there's never going to be a right or wrong answer, but I think there always needs to be that niggle in the back of your head to keep you on your feet instead of getting too comfortable over time.
100%. But I feel as if you and I are walking separate paths here, because for me, this is the first time I've ever done like running my own business and things like that. So I don't look back.
Yeah.
And when I was in my 20s and say, how can I be that guy again?
True.
Because I was a fat fuck. Love my fucking KFCs far too much, right? I'm like, no, I don't want to be that guy again, right? But now I'm like, I want to continue. Do you know what I feel like sometimes? I feel like it's went full circle a little bit.
Yeah.
Because the man I am today is a more experienced, nuanced version of who I was in my late teens.
Yeah.
Maybe not as arrogant.
Yeah.
Right? And humbled. The person who I was from early 20s to, say, late 20s by the time I got to 30, that was someone who was living a double life almost, trying to pretend they're someone they're not. So for 10 years, I lived that life, and I look back on that and say, no, I'm not going back to that. So I feel as if I've came full circle, and now I'm getting back to who I truly was, where I'm not afraid to say, I fucking love wrestling, you know what I mean? To fucking, two big oiled up men slap meat, fucking watch that shit all day.
Sexiest thing up.
Oh, amazing, mate. Amazing, bro. So, just all these wee nuance things. I'm an absolute video game geek.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Love my video games, right? Absolutely love it till the cows come home. I'm not afraid to say, fuck football, can't be arsed with it.
Yeah.
So it's just all these things where I'm just like, I wasn't raised with that or anything like that, so never been passionate about football, but I don't obviously judge anybody who likes into it. But, I was, for a long time, I was afraid to say these things. Yeah. And now I'm just like, no, I'm who I am, and if you gravitate towards me, cool. If you don't, fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that's a grown-up thing. You know what I mean? But I also think a lot of people don't grow up.
They don't.
And I think being on this journey that you've been on has pushed you to, like, grow up. Because I even think back, like, if I hadn't started my own business at 20, I don't know where I would have ended up. I probably wouldn't have really grown up that much. I was, like, hitting the gym and stuff, but, like, I was working dead-end jobs, So where would I have ended up? Thinking back now, and it's something that makes you have to mature in ways mentally, physically, and emotionally that you never thought you had to.
Does.
Like even in your 30s, you'll have experienced that to date from opening your business. You'll have recognised that there were things that you thought that you'd obviously overcome or grown through or grown up from, that you now were like, since running your business, going, fucking hell, that's actually a gap I never knew was there. And
100%.
I need to, and it's
Still spotting them.
That's why I say entrepreneurship is like the best self-development journey anyone can ever go on, because it will exploit you, it will put you under a microscope. But the great thing about it is you then know what you need to work on and the constraints, because it's just a signal to say, did you know that this problem existed? What are you going to do about it?
Exactly, go and fucking do it, because no one else will.
100%. So we're going to round off in a couple of minutes, but I wanted to get your take on what you thought the best part of being part of Built for Coaches is.
Oh, the partner, mate. Absolutely partner.
Yes.
No, all seriousness, the partner is good. But I think it's just a community driven of like-minded individuals spread over across, am I right in saying, the entire world?
Yeah.
The entire world, just kind of coming together, sharing wins and just supporting each other in the best way possible. And everyone that I've been on a call with, I've interacted with, like through the platform and everything else, they've been sound as fuck. And they're just, it's a bit cliche to say because people always say it, but your biggest cheerleaders will come from like strangers or online. And these people, are successful coaches already, and they want to see you win. And I've had people from Built for Coaches, like, add me on Instagram and shit like that, liking all the posts, supporting me in them and everything. And I'm like, this is class. It's like people actually want to see me win for a change, as opposed to, as we spoke about at the start, oh, that's embarrassing, or no, who does he think he is, and all that. So it's the community aspect, and just personal training can be a really, what's the word I'm looking for?
Lonely.
Yeah, it can be a really lonely profession at times, especially like when you don't really connect with people where you work on the same level. And it's connecting with people on that basis has definitely made it a lot less lonely and a lot less, right, okay, so it's not just me.
It's so true, and that's why we've always wanted to protect that community as well. Like, I don't think coaches believe us when we say, like, we are quite selective with the people we let in. Like, I can tell with the language that people use when inquiring whether or not they're going to be the right fit for us, because I don't want this to be a community filled with people who are just obsessed about making money and not the quality of the service that they actually deliver to their clients. Because I don't want to become one of those coaching programs, like mentoring programs.
Pioneering amazing customer service.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. It must have stuck with me. It must have stuck with me. But it's not something that we want to build. And I don't think people believe us when we say that, because they've been taught the same thing by other people who have sold them in regardless. So like, I know mentorships who will say, yeah, you only bring in like your top quality like clients, the people you really want to work with, align with the brand, align with the values, because that's what we do. And they don't. They'll sell to anyone that's willing to give them money.
Yep.
And people probably know, since having been in some of these mentorships, that they probably shouldn't have been there. They probably shouldn't have spent that money. So then they can't trust what that person's saying because their actions didn't align with the words that were coming out their mouth. Whereas we want our words and our actions to align consistently. But it's hard for people to believe at times, I think. But that's why the community is so good, because there's no fucking wankers getting in, to put it bluntly. But is there anything else you would like to say to anyone that is listening, that's thinking about working with us now in the future, sitting on the fence, whatever it may be?
We plug for BFB, so it is probably the best
BFC,
investment.
remember, it's changed.
Fuck me, man.
I know, too many names.
BFC. Bill for coaches, guys, sorry. So we shout out to BFC. No, honestly, best investment I've ever done. It's my first mentorship, so I don't know any better. I don't know any different. But I have to say,
it could actually be shite.
It could actually be fucking shite. But I have to say, like, shout out to Ross at Irvin's as well, because when I was at that, what was it, the masterclass day?
Yes.
When you and Jen were both speaking, that's what ultimately sold me on your guys' philosophy into Built to Coach, the educational thing, and then obviously transitioning to here. But obviously, you built trust with me in that talk, and I really gelled with what both you and Jem were really saying.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny going back to obviously our history and all that, because that was for some reason that on that day that was a penny drop for me. Going, fuck me, this guy has changed.
Yeah. Oh, really? Really?
Seriously,
that's funny, because I'd always, like, when I was back in the UK, I would always speak to you in the gym when I was in at the gym as well. You know what I mean? Like when you were on shifts and stuff. I remember us talking when you were still working on the bins, and obviously that event came after.
Yeah.
Aye. So that's interesting.
Mate, like honestly, like against stubbornness, I just didn't want to believe you were that guy.
Yeah.
But now I'm fucking Mark's return fucking cheerleader. Do you know what I mean?
Fucking viral fan.
That's it, viral fan.
He's why I moved to Dubai, by the way, because he just like fucking follows me on it.
No,
but I always say that the soundest marks are the ones spelt with a K.
Thank you, mate.
Not see the marks out there that are listening that have a C, sorry, but you're not as sound as the marks with a K.
The C's for cunt.
Aye. Mate, I've seen that before. I just didn't want to like really offend anyone. But what he said. So
if you want to transform your coaching business through both acquisition and retention, Built for Coaches is the place to be. Click on the link in the description below and send Mark a message on Instagram with the numbers 67, and he will take you on this journey.
Boom.